getting comfortable with failure.
Yes.
That's a big one, isn't it?
And we've done that a lot over the last 3 years of building this business. We honestly are passionate that wealth creation can apply to anyone. Anybody can create a better future for themselves with the right mindset and the right tools.
So we use these mindset tools now. We're going to start applying them to business growth, wealth creation, moving, peak performance. Meditation is about building a routine and a go-to when I recognize I'm low.
If you get your mindset correct, the rest of it will flow into your life. There's elements in that book that everyone will relate to. Mindset was really at the fundamental basis of everything that we do.
You've got everything you need to be happy in every moment. And that's just a mindset shift.
And those tools that I use to get myself through some of the darkest days of my life.
Welcome to the first ever episode of the Extraordinary Millionaire Talk Show. I'm extremely excited to be here at this moment. This is a moment that has been in the making pretty much my whole professional career. And I'm really looking forward to, introducing you to the Extraordinary Millionaire brand. I'm also here with my business partner, Martin Foster, who co-runs the business with me and who is equally as passionate as I am about the subject of mindset for success, and also mindset for getting through adversity. And we've co-written a book called The Rock Bottom Paradox, which we'll be talking about in a minute. But without further ado, welcome Martin to our first ever episode.
Thanks very much, Nick.
Very welcome. Good to have you here and good to be working on this with you. And so I guess for those watching at home, introducing this podcast, The Extraordinary Millionaire and The Rock Bottom Paradox, they're the two books that are the flagship books of the business. But it's not been designed as a business. It's been designed to help people. It needs to be a business so that we can afford to produce shows like this and to put content out, and it needs to run as a business. But, our passion really is the driver for this, lifelong careers in learning how to fine tune our minds to get ourselves out of the tricky situations, out of the rock bottom, but also to fine tune our mindset in the top 1% of success. And that's the Extraordinary Millionaire book.
Correct.
I guess, tell me a little bit about your background and how you came to meet me, and what's your passion behind this business as well as mine.
Well, I think 20 years spent in education and wealth education brought me to the realization that mindset was really at the fundamental basis of everything that we do. And I think a big mistake that a lot of educators have made is they concentrate on the wealth creation and don't concentrate on the mindset aspect of that. And I think meeting you and discussing it quickly came to realize that the mindset part was a passion that we both shared and that we wanted to share with those people that were entering on their wealth journey. Yeah,
very much so. I mean, for me, since I was a young boy going into my 20s, I always, wanted to be a millionaire. And that was all I really saw as my goal. I never understood and knew how to get it, but I did have a visualization, which is one of the tools we talk about in both books, had a visualization that I would be a millionaire. I just didn't know how to achieve it yet. And so what I did is, over the years, I gradually learnt from other people. I read hundreds of entrepreneurs' books, quite literally, in audio books, trying to understand the key principles, the habits, the tools, and the mindset techniques and habits that these people use to become successful. And I was, researching the top 1% of society, business, athletes, anyone that had become successful in their field. I wanted to dissect and distill what they would do and what they had in common. And so that these books demonstrate that, don't they? And they're for two different audiences. You've got the Extraordinary Millionaire, which is for fine-tuning the top 1%, and you've got the Rock Bottom Paradox for fine-tuning yourself out of the bottom, right? But it's all the same mindset techniques. From your perspective, you've been through your own rock bottom.
I have.
I'm aware of, as
Yes.
we wrote this book at a time we were both in a fairly low point in our lives, and life isn't perfect. It is a series of ups and downs. Why don't you tell me about your experience and how we came to write the Rock Bottom Paradox?
I mean, without delving into the details of my own personal rock bottom, a lot of that flows through the book. I think it was important for me to write this book at that point in my life when I was at rock bottom, and I feel it was probably the same for you. And it was, for me, I say in the book, it was a very cathartic experience for me. It helped me to solidify those techniques and those tools that I used to get myself through some of the darkest days of my life.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm proud to say that, I know personally that what we show in this book and what we teach in this book and what we say in this book works, because I've been through it. I've watched you go through it. It's something that we worked on and spoke about on an almost daily basis some weeks. And so those tools they work, and I'm passionate about that.
Yeah, me too. And I think, I do a lot of property content, property shows, and I'm a developer and consultant and mentor for people getting into property and growing their business in property. But I don't often get to show a side of me that is really the reason I've become successful in my life, how I've overcome adversity. And these books are my biggest passion, not property, not wealth creation. It's about mindset. And a lot of the coaching and mentoring and consultation work I do does incorporate these life skills. And actually, I'm more passionate about this than I am about property. So, anyone out there watching that's followed us and followed my journey and is involved from a property perspective, this is actually a big part that underpins all of my career and the work we've done to bring this advice to realization to help so many people is so brilliant and fun, because this is ultimately the message I want to get out there, that it's a complex subject, isn't it? Yeah.
And Nick, I will say, the one thing that really excited me about the project when we first started talking about it was the way that the books are written in a way of a story. It makes it relatable to everyone. So somebody picking up the book can read somebody else's story. They can relate to it their own lives. I think there's elements in that book that everyone will relate to from some point of their life or other. And to me, that's really exciting. A lot of the books that you read on mindset are based on telling you what to do. They don't give real life examples, or they don't write it in a way that the individual can relate to. And so for me, this project was super exciting on that aspect, that the storytelling came through. And it's a relatable, easy read. You want to follow the characters. You want to find out what they're doing. You want to find out how they get on. And the way the two books are written, you can almost read, although they're different characters in each book, you can almost read one book into the next one as an ongoing story. And I know that we hope to, write the next story as an ongoing part of that overall storytelling philosophy as well.
Yeah, definitely. I think it was really important to us to be able to have someone pick this book up and it not be a technical manual that was kind of boring. Like you say, a psychiatrist has written a book, as much as it would be useful. And if you've got mental health conditions or you want to fine tune your performance, you might be reading books from psychologists, books from, people teaching you certain topics, but in a very technical viewpoint. It's really important to us to write a book that you almost couldn't put down, a bit like a novel, something that's got a story and a theme and a string to keep you going along, and you want to read more. I'll never forget, it was an important moment for me recently where I put this on an audio book. We have the audiobooks out very shortly. We've been listening to the drafts of these, and my daughter was listening to it, and she's like, no, you never read any of my books, never look at any of my content. It's just Daddy's work. And I put this on at bedtime, it was a bit of an excuse to stay up 5 minutes late, and she didn't want to stop. She's only 11. And so I know that the power of these books will help open so many doors for people in their life. It'll help them get through so much adversity, and it'll let people know from the rock bottom side that there's people out there that can help you. It's a big passion of ours to build a foundation off the back of that book to put towards mental health charities. And we're in the process of building those relationships so that we can do that as the brand grows. And from the Extraordinary Millionaire perspective, in a very tricky world where our kids are growing up in now, with competition, we've had COVID and these kind of things happen in the past. We've got AI on the forefront of changing the way people do business and the availability of jobs.
Yeah.
People need to have an advantage. And I believe these books are the distillation of hundreds of entrepreneurs' books that will help them understand where that advantage is. And that advantage is in the mind,
Yes.
and the control and the understanding of how your mind works, and using tools to give yourself the best possible chance.
Yeah. And I think it's important for people to understand that rock bottom isn't just being at the bottom. You know, it's not when your life falls apart. It could be something like a career change, or you mentioned AI taking over and changing the way you do your job. In many ways, that could be your very own form of rock bottom.
Absolutely.
And just following, taking those tips and tricks out of the books to fit into your life, where your life takes you or where you are at the moment, is just invaluable. And each chapter through both Rock Bottom and The Extraordinary Millionaire ends with actionable tips that people can take.
Yeah.
The difference between, we go through Rock Bottom, we have lessons from that chapter that people can take away. In The Extraordinary Millionaire, we have examples between the rat racer mentality and the extraordinary millionaire mentality. And so every chapter, the lessons are condensed into something that's actionable for the reader to take. And I know both of us take those actionable items into our coaching and our consulting and with our clients that we work with. And we want to take it out to a wider audience. I love the fact that your daughter loves that as well. To me, that's, the kids are the most important. And if we can relate to children who, I think, mental health issues at the moment are more prevalent than ever. And if we have got something that we can take out to the kids, and that parents can allow their kids to read and just learn those, stop questioning the mental health and realizing that things like meditation and visualization and gratitude aren't just for older people. They're for the youngsters as well. If we can take that out into that atmosphere, into the schools and the universities, I think I'm super excited about that.
I'm super excited about it. And you touched upon, those are all various chapters and tools that we talk about in the books. It's not all spiritual airy-fairy stuff by any means. These are proven tactics and techniques that lots of successful people do.
Correct.
And examples are given throughout the books of those kind of things. You mentioned there the rat racer.
Yes.
So I think it's important to bring the characters in at this point so people can sort of understand how this storyline is built up. In The Extraordinary Millionaire in particular, you've got the Extraordinary Millionaire, who's a fictional character. Obviously, their experiences are somewhat based on my experiences, but bringing in the learning from all of these entrepreneurs. So The Extraordinary Millionaire is the culmination of the habits and tools and mindset and techniques and advice of all of these people that we've researched over the years, distilled into a character.
Yes.
His neighbour, George, is the rat racer, and he's the guy that is stuck in the 9 to 5. He's got all these goals, but he doesn't take actionable steps towards them. He's stuck in a job that he doesn't really love. He's working for someone else. He's paying the most taxes. He doesn't know how to invest. And with all due respect to everyone out there in this position, entrepreneurialism, building businesses, investing isn't for everyone.
No.
But for those of you that have an inclination that you want to do more in life, and you believe that's in you, these are kind of the books for you. And George is the character that we are trying to give the advice to in the book. So it's a really nice storytelling from The Extraordinary Millionaire to George, isn't it? The rat racer.
And what I love about George, he starts in the rat race and he lands up in the extraordinary lifestyle. I think he finds himself in a position that a lot of us find ourselves in, where he doesn't think that it's possible. And I love the way The Extraordinary Millionaire teaches him the fundamental mindset tools that he needs to get into that before he teaches him the monetary and the entrepreneurial skills needed. And I think that's an important lesson for everyone, is that if you get your mindset correct, the rest of it will flow into your life. And that is demonstrated in the book wonderfully. The story flows lovely. You want to see George's growth throughout the book. I love that. You can actually see in the writing of the book the way his mind turns on, and with realization on how the techniques and the things are working through the story. It's just a lovely book, Nick. I love it, and I think that any entrepreneur or would-be entrepreneur should have it as a cornerstone of their reading library.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, the Extraordinary Millionaire is the linchpin to the brand, but we have done more than that. Obviously, we've written our book, The Rock Bottom Paradox. We've co-authored. We're business partners in this brand, but the brand is more than just this book. It then goes into technical manuals. So two of the other books that we've got are property based to start with, but we're going to build out this series across multiple series into stocks and shares, maybe crypto, business building, small business startup building is probably one of our big next passions for a book.
Yep.
We've got professional property strategies. We've got advanced property development. These are all available on Amazon. Now, what I'm passionate about doing with and I know we both are, I should say, with these technical books, what you get for, I don't know, a tenner on Amazon, you'll be paying several £1,000s for in most of these educational courses that providers are putting out there in the wealth creation industry and the property education industry. We wrote these books to save people an awful lot of money and to give that information away for as cheaply as we could possibly afford to do.
Correct.
Not free, but very cheaply. To save people money, getting scammed by online gurus with overpriced courses. The key is to give as much information away as possible and try and help build a community of people that help themselves in an extraordinary way.
I'm of the personal opinion, and I think you share this with me, that the face-to-face time with an expert is better spent out in the real world, where where the rubber meets the road, actually taking our clients and implementing the strategies and the knowledge that you can pick up from those books.
Yeah, absolutely.
I believe that the education sector in property specifically has changed significantly over the years, and that no two individuals are the same, and that any advice that you get from a mentor or a consultant needs to reflect your personal circumstances rather than some generic, education. And I'm not saying that generic education is wrong. I'm saying that
to a certain point,
you can get it from many sources.
Yeah, and you should.
But when the rubber meets the road, to have somebody to guide you, to give you a strategy that's specific to you in your entrepreneurship and your wealth creation, that to me is invaluable. And that's where we concentrate in The Extraordinary Millionaire.
Now, of course, we're introducing the talk show today. This is the first ever episode. It's a bit of an introduction to the brand, introduction to the mindset and the kind of guests you might imagine we're going to be getting on over the coming years. We're going to be bringing on successful people.
Correct.
So all of this knowledge and distillation into the books is going to flow out on these talk shows with the new guests will be coming on each week who have all become successful in their arena. I know we've got athletes lined up. We've got successful CEOs lined up. We've got some very exciting guests coming on. So if you like the sound of that, make sure you subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified of all these new upcoming talk show episodes because you don't want to miss one. One nugget of information, you mentioned a moment ago, nuggets of information. The book is full of them, having distilled from hundreds of sources, but each talk show episode will have lots of nuggets of information from each guest. If you can take one nugget of information from that 30, 40-minute talk show, then it's been worth watching it right to the end, because you never know when that bit of information is going to hit you. And I will read all the books I've read over the years. I read the whole book, and if I get one little nugget, it's been worth reading that book. And I'll form that as part of my toolkit for future success and coping.
With both the books, with all the books, I would recommend just keeping them near and going through them. I had a situation the other day where I was at a bit of a low point, and I picked up The Rock Bottom and read a couple of the chapters in it. And by the time I'd finished, I was just reminded of those couple of little tools that, kept me going and saw me through that little down period and that down patch. So we say it's a blueprint, and it's a blueprint for you. So pick it up, look after it, write in it, make notes in it, reach out to us, please.
Reach out in the comments. I think it's really important that, the discussion of mental health, both from getting out of the rock bottom or fine tuning your mindset, the top 1%, is all mindset. Interested to hear your guys out there, views, comments on any struggles you've been through, any techniques or tools you've used to fine tune your performance up at that top 1% of your performance. What works for you? We talk about sleep. Let's talk about a few of the topics of the chapters here. I think, we talk about sleep. We talk about mindfulness.
Yes.
We talk about meditation.
Yes. The difference between mindfulness and meditation, two very different concepts that I think are often, linked together. But one is about being in the moment, living in the moment and recognizing opportunity in the moment.
Mindfulness,
And the other one is about, centering yourself and finding some inner peace within it, so they're very different, but very often linked together.
And building a habit. For me personally, meditation is about building a routine and a go-to when I recognize I'm low. I don't do it every day anymore, as you know, but I do it when I need it. And that's you can get, when you get experienced at it, you don't necessarily need the habit every single day. You can dip in it, but recognizing when you can dip into it, that's a skill of meditation as well.
And even we need reminding, Nick.
We do. You reminded me last week. Absolutely. Everyone's human, and it is, remembering to dip into a certain tool. And the books are a toolkit for coping, a toolkit for success. We talk about thinking like an optimist. We talk about the law of attraction,
yes,
which is a big topic.
Gratitude.
Gratitude is another subject. Hugely important. And these are not just words. They're not buzzwords. They're not, you go, oh, I know what gratitude is. I know what the law of attraction is. It's about how to use those in your daily life, how to incorporate them as habit-forming exercises.
I found gratitude has probably been the biggest game changer in my life, is just finding the little moments of gratitude in the everyday mundane. Stuck in traffic, having the gratitude to be able to listen to a little bit more of the Extraordinary Millionaire audiobook.
There you go, I'm running through that this week. Yeah, exactly.
I love the fact that I pick up my son from school. If there's a little bit of traffic, it gives me, that extra 5 minutes on one-to-one time with him that we so often miss out on. So everything has got an element of gratitude in it. And that for me has been the biggest game changer. No matter how hard life gets, I always try and find that one little nugget of gratitude in everything that happens. And I'm not going to lie, it's hard sometimes.
Yeah, it can be.
But it's that mental switch where you're always looking for what you're to be grateful for that just makes things easier, I think.
And living in that moment in a positive way. You've got everything you need to be happy in every moment. And that's just a mindset shift. It's easy to say it. It's harder to do it. We try and guide people how to do it. Now, what's I think worth mentioning about in The Extraordinary Millionaire, as we move forward from those kind of more overarching techniques and tools, is we go into a little bit more entrepreneurship in the second part of the book. So we're talking about rethinking your attitude to money, investing in assets, not liabilities. So we use these mindset tools now, we'll start applying them to business growth, wealth creation, moving, peak performance.
Yes.
And everyone needs help on that. We talk about passive income. We talk about surrounding yourself with people who are smarter than you.
Correct.
Building a power team is key to any business. Creating rapport and win-win relationships.
Yes.
That's mindset. That's a technique. That's a personal skill that we teach in the book.
It is. And Nick, I would just say, you mentioned that the book is aimed at the top 1%. I would say that when we say the top 1%, we mean your top 1%. So it's encouraging you as an individual to become that best version of you that you can be. So please don't think that the book is written only for somebody that wants to be the next, Elon Musk or something like that.
Oh no, this is just coping in your own world and excelling in your own world.
Exactly. And it's for everyone. And we honestly are passionate that wealth creation can apply to anyone. Anybody can create a better future for themselves with the right mindset and the right tools.
I love that. One other point in the book, there's many, getting comfortable with failure.
Yes.
That's a big one, isn't it?
And we've done that a lot over the last 3 years of building this business.
Absolutely. And, people might not realise it out there, but I've had plenty of failures in various business ideas that we've started up. Thankfully, not had too many failures in property developments. They've all become profitable. But, what is a failure? I don't believe in failure, quite frankly.
It's an opportunity to learn.
It's an opportunity to learn. It's a learning experience. So the Extraordinary Millionaire or rock bottom way of thinking of a failure is the opportunity to learn and grow and build your own mindset to a stronger place and learn tools to stop you having that same issue again.
And I think what's really great about both books is that if you follow the techniques that we show you in the books, and there is some overlap in the techniques in between both books.
Sure, absolutely.
But if you follow them, you will build yourself up from every failure again. And it will teach you how to deal with the failure. It will teach you how to deal with that experience that you're going through. And it will show you the tools and the method to move forward from that.
Absolutely. Before we wrap up, I'd just like to tell the viewers at home, before, we've introduced the brand today. This is an intro podcast to the series of an amazing talk show that we're going to bring on some fantastic guests. one of the reasons I wanted to write Rock Bottom, I think it's important to share that, is that I've been through a couple of rock bottoms in my life. Last year, I lost my father, unfortunately. 2 months later, I almost lost my mother to the same condition that I lost my dad to. And then I was moving home to another country. I felt like I was abandoning the family. And then I had to get used to living in another country, my kids moving schools. Physically packing up and moving is one of the most stressful things we do, as we know. Yep. So you combine all of those things together, and we were starting this business alongside what I already do in the day job of being a property developer and property development consultant and mentor. Was an awful lot to take on. So I took on too much. And there was times I really struggled with that, and I didn't give myself time to grieve. So I definitely, feel a lot better now. And writing this book, like yourself, was a cathartic experience to help me remember the tools that we've learned over the years. And we always need reminding. Like you, I pick up this book and chapters of it regularly. I put out content online regularly with these in. I work with all my mentees and consultant clients. And I pass on this information as part of my teachings to them so that they can be a more rounded and successful property developer or whatever business we're talking about with them. And so I'm really passionate to deliver this business and to start this talk show. I'm really excited to be doing it with yourself, Martin. It's awesome. I can't wait to do more.
It's exciting, Nick.
It's extremely exciting. So make sure you guys subscribe at home. Hit the bell icon, be notified of other videos because there's some awesome content to come. This is the introductory episode. I hope you stay with us to the end so you can see the benefits of mindset and helping you on your own journeys at home. Please reach out in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Stay in touch. Do jump in with any questions. We'll be there for you. And most importantly, go to extraordinarymillionaire.com for any further advice. You can see the books there. You can download the books there. They're also all available on Amazon. Type in The Extraordinary Millionaire, The Rock Bottom Paradox, or my name, Nicholas Wallwork, or indeed Martin Foster, and you'll find the content online, obviously on our YouTube channel as well. For now, Martin, thank you. It's been a pleasure.
As Nick.
Looking forward to building the business with you and helping as many people as we possibly can. For you guys at home, I hope you'll join us on our journey, and we'll see you on the next talk show very soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.